Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm the City Witch. So in today's video we're going to be talking about the subject of love spells and love magic. So there are a number of questions that I get asked quite a lot, so I thought it'd be really good to just do a Q&A on all these regular asked questions, and then hopefully I'm answering them all really clearly for you guys. And if you have any that I haven't answered, just drop me a message in the comments and I'll try and get round to it as soon as I can. So all of the questions that I'm going to answer, I'm going to be answering them with information that I've gathered and learned over the years. So it's all stuff from my own personal experiences, from when I was young and being mentored, right up until me mentoring other people as well. So this is all just my personal experiences. I will definitely recommend for you guys to go out and cross-reference everything I'm saying, watch many videos, read lots of books, study, and develop your own way of doing things and learn from your own spells as well to what you believe to be real and not, because there is a lot of controversial videos out there on this subject and many people agree or disagree and argue about the subject. So definitely do your own research and figure it out for yourselves. So this video is based on questions I'm getting asked and the answers I'm giving are my personal experiences. So the first question that I get asked quite a lot is, are love spells considered to be black magic? It's quite a large question to answer. I'm going to do my best to answer quite quickly, but the simple answer is no. Love magic is nothing to do with black magic, and I don't like the term black and white magic, by the way, guys, because black and white magic is, it's quite a racist term and it's used incorrectly all over the world. So just to give you a basic lesson on the craft, magic is a word that we use to represent energy, and energy is something that is scientifically proven to exist in the universe. Energy is something that we can manipulate, we can change, we can direct, and we can charge, and we can program. And as witches, when we choose to become a witch and practice witchcraft, we study the art of manipulating that energy in the universe and our environment around us in order to manifest what it is we want into our lives. Now, the law of attraction does something very similar, and I will do a separate video on the law of attraction. I keep saying I'm going to do it. I will do it, guys, I promise. But basically, magic is not black nor white. It is just energy, and how you use it as a practitioner basically dictates whether the spell is a positive one or a negative one. Positive and negative are much better terms to use than black or white, because actually colours, when we apply colour to magic, you're talking about subjects of the craft, you're not talking about the actual spell itself. So what I mean by this is witchcraft is quite a large, all-encompassing title for a lot of different paths that are witchcraft based. And all of those paths tend to have practices or lessons that you must learn in order to be a good practitioner. And quite often we assign titles to those or colours. So for example, if you were studying earth magic or hedge witchery, or sometimes they call it wart cunning, that would be given the colour green as its signature colour for the subject. So green magic equals wart cunning, herb magic, or hedge witchery. Red magic is alchemy. Orange magic is sleight of hand, stage performance, that kind of thing. Turquoise is mathematics, so anything where you're using numerology, doing calculations and working things out and working with numbers in magic. So black magic actually is the colour that we use to represent defence against the dark arts. So black magic is, in a nutshell, practical defence magic. It's nothing to do with curses, hexes, or bad magic or a bad practitioner doing bad things. It's nothing like that, guys. White magic, just to give you that one as well, just to be fair, white magic is what we refer to being ceremonial magic. So ceremonial magic is what you might expect. It's where we do ceremonies for things like, wickenings, which is our version of a christening, naming ceremonies, hand fastenings, our weddings, that kind of thing. So white magic is used for blessings and positive things and recognising stages of your life as you go through them. So no, love spells, love magic is not black magic. If you're going to give any colour to anything to do with love magic, it would be pink. It would not be any other colour. So one of the other questions that I get asked quite a lot in regards to love magic is, what about threefold law? What about karma? So, firstly, if you're asking those kinds of questions, the spell that you're considering doing, I'm going to say, is probably something you know you shouldn't be doing. If you're worried about threefold or karma, then you know somewhere deep inside that the spell that you want to do is probably negative or bad, or you know you're worried enough about karma being a thing that you know you shouldn't be doing it. So maybe just don't do it. But just to give you a little bit of a rundown on what the threefold law is. The threefold law is something that only applies to Wiccans who follow Wicca as a practice. So Wicca is an earth-based religious practice under the umbrella of witchcraft, and Wicca has a set of guidelines called the Wicca Reed, and the threefold law is one of the guidelines that falls in that. And the idea behind that is that when you do something negative, that karmically you're punished as a person in order to, you know, kind of keep you in line in a way, I suppose. The threefold law was designed to say that karmically you'll get whatever you put out into the world will come back to you 3 times 3, meaning that it'll come back to you spiritually, mentally and physically. So you will lose something in your life on those 3 formats in order to punish you for the mistake you made. And it's a way to kind of structure the craft. It was a way to structure young people learning in order to have a line in the sand that people just would not cross. Now, all witches are not Wiccan, but all Wiccans are witches. And what I mean by that is, and as an example for myself, I'm an eclectic practitioner. So an eclectic witch is somebody that picks and chooses bits and pieces from many, many different religions and spiritual practices and incorporates them into their own spiritual practice in order to develop in the spiritual world and develop on their own path. Now, that is a description of myself because I am an eclectic witch. Someone who's Wiccan obviously follows the Wiccan Reed, follows the Wiccan laws, and therefore believes in the threefold law. Somebody who is not Wiccan, but is still a witch, might not believe or follow the Wiccan Reed, so therefore the threefold law does not apply. And in older witchcraft, I mean, I'm talking, you know, when, you know, hundreds of thousands of years ago, witches didn't have guidelines like this. You know, they didn't have, you know, only put out in the universe positive, not the negative. They did what they wanted. There was no such thing as, you know, harm none, do what you will and all that. They could practice whatever they wanted. So a lot of practitioners today still follow that and still believe in that rather than the Wicca Reed. Now, there's no right or wrong, but I will say that it's a good idea to develop and design your own set of rules. Now, I have my own set of rules, and I've developed them over a long time. I mean, I've been practicing 28 years, guys, and you know, I do believe that we all know right from wrong. Every action has a reaction. There's consequences to all the decisions that we make, and in order to be prepared for those, or in order to make good decisions, I have my own personal set of rules which helps me do that in order to be a good practitioner. So I do recommend making your own set of rules that'll help you develop as a practitioner, help you be the kind of witch that you want to be. But it's completely up to you guys. Now, karma. Karma is completely different to the threefold law and the Wicca Reed. Karma, when you look it up, the description is more about karmic debt. So in every lifetime, for every action that you take or everything you do, it has a karmic balance. So whether it be positive or negative. So for everything negative you do, you gain negative karma, and for everything positive you do, you gain positive karma. And then eventually when you die, there's a scale, and then whether, you know, the positive and the negative are kind of weighed, and then it kind of decides whether you learn, develop, grow as a spiritual person in that lifetime. Now, karma can travel with you from one lifetime to another. So if you're someone that believes in reincarnation, karma can travel with you through many, many different lifetimes. So if you had a particularly really bad lifetime where you didn't really learn anything, in fact you maybe devolved as a human instead of evolved, then when you die, you'll realise that because your karmic debt will be quite high, the negative side of the karma will be really high, and you'll have to kind of try and figure out how to pay that back or balance the scales in order for the next time that you pass on. So when you're reincarnated, your life might not be particularly fantastic, and the reason it's not fantastic is because you weren't a very good person in the last life, which gained you a lot of negative karma. So in this lifetime, you kind of have to grow, work harder at it in order to learn those life lessons that they were trying to teach you in the other lifetime. Now, as witches, we do believe that you can choose how to come back, when to come back, and what as to come back. But we don't get to choose the life that we live. That is karmically decided by the universe based on our life in our previous lives and so on and so forth, and it kind of goes like that. Now, you can balance the scale, so if you have a particularly bad you know, like I said, karmic life in one lifetime. You can obviously do positive things in this lifetime in order to reduce that negative to positive, and therefore be kind of in credit, I suppose, karmically. If you look it up, there's probably better descriptions, but that's kind of my take on it. Karma is definitely a thing. I have seen it in action. I have seen it work, and I do believe in karma. I do apply karma to my life, which is why I say I have my own set of rules, and I do like to follow my set of rules, and I don't break them for anybody. And I do believe in being a good person, and obviously, like I said, we all know right from wrong. So without, you know, preaching to you guys, you know, we're all raised to know, you know, right from wrong from a very early age. So if you're considering doing a spell and you're worried about karma or threefold, then to me you shouldn't be casting it, because you are worried about that, which tells me the spell itself, without knowing what it is probably negative. So yeah, just don't cast it is my advice. The next question I get asked a lot is, are there spells to make someone fall in love with you? Now, I'm going to take a drink, guys, because this is going to be a long answer. So, in a nutshell, yes, there are. There are plenty of spells out there to make someone fall in love with you. I have seen them in books, online. There are plenty of practitioners out there who sell their services guaranteeing that they can get someone to fall madly, deeply in love with you. The bigger question, or the better question, is, do they work? Are they real? Is this a real thing? Can you actually force someone to fall in love with you? Now, there's a lot of information out there where practitioners say, yes, this does work. And there's a lot of practitioners that say, no, it doesn't work. My personal experiences on this is I have actually seen this work, and I've also seen it fail. So over my years of study, I really got into this about really understanding how magic affects people when you aim and cast on people. And there's a couple of things to consider. But one of the things that I noticed was, if the person was somebody who was easily influenced by people in their lives or situations or by energy in their lives, then they were susceptible more to a witch's spells than the kind of person who is strong-willed, determined, stubborn, and knows exactly what they want out of life. So this also tended to tie in with age when I really broke it down. So if when I was doing spells for younger people or on younger people, they tended to work like almost like that. But when I was casting on someone older, wiser, more experienced, more set in their ways, spells struggled, didn't always manifest, or when they did, it didn't tend to manifest the way I imagined. There was always something different about the spell based on that individual. Now, I'm not saying that young people are more easily influenced than old, because sometimes old people can be influenced just as much as young. And when I say young, I'm talking like, you know, early teens to early 20s, and when I'm talking old, I'm talking 30, 40, I'm not talking somebody in the 80s. But the more older you get, the more set in your ways you become, because you've developed as a human being. You know where you're going, you know what you want out of life, you're more defined as a person, and you're less influenced by others because you've learned to understand that, well, you've learned from that mistake, you've learned from being young. So therefore, as you get older, you know to say no, you know when to say yes, you know what you want, and you know not to be influenced by others unless you want to be. So often I've noticed with the spells of, you know, casting on someone, making them fall in love with you, it depended on age, it depended on how influential that person was, depends on how susceptible they are to energy and manipulation in their lives, and it depended also on the spell itself as well. There's factors around the spell, whether, you know, bad wording, incorrect ingredients used, that kind of thing can have an effect as well. So there's quite a number of reasons why I say yes, the spells can work, and no, why they don't. So as a practitioner of 28 years experience now, guys, I often, when I get a client coming to me and they're talking about casting a love spell on a specific person, I ask a lot of questions surrounding this. So I do consultations. The consultations sometimes last weeks. It's not something that I just, you know, talk to them in a day and then they pay and then obviously I do a spell. Quite often I talk to them, I really understand the situation, I want to know the energies that are involved, I want to know the circumstances, I want to know the people, and I want to understand, you know, why do they want that person, and have they had a relationship before? Is there a connection previously that I can work with? You know, so I'm understanding it as a big picture, not just based on what they're telling me. So I asked a lot of questions, and quite often I always recommend a completely different spell, but actually sometimes, you know, in some circumstances I can cast a spell that's going to work really well for them, that's similar to what they're asking for. So it does depend, but the point I'm making is that I always ask questions to really understand the situation in order to understand whether that individual is going to be influenced by a spell or not, and then I can advise correctly. And I'm not going to, you know, accept a client job for something I know is going to fail, which is going to cause me problems down the line with the client. So, you know, if it's somebody that's not going to be influenced, not somebody easily influenced, and I can divine that and I can understand that from the situation, then I'm going to recommend different spells, because I know that one isn't really going to work. So that's something else to consider. The next question that I get asked quite a lot is, can I cast a spell to make my ex-partner return to me? So I'm going to answer that one with a question of my own. Why would you want to? Why do you want your ex back? I hate being asked for these spells, if I'm honest, guys. I get asked daily for return to me spells, and they're really horrible spells to cast. I don't enjoy them at all. But obviously, you know, my business is my livelihood, so I can't just turn clients away just because I don't like doing a spell. There are a number of spells that I don't really like doing, for obvious reasons, and there are a number of spells that I know I'm really good at that I do enjoy doing. So return to me spells are one of the spells that I don't like doing, and there's a lot of reasons why I don't like doing them. Firstly, most often the question comes from a really selfish point of view. And when I really dig into the situation and what's going on, often there's massive complications, such as a marriage involved, kids. So this is why I don't enjoy doing this type of spell. To answer the question, can I cast a spell to make my ex-partner return? Yes, you can. You absolutely can do those types of spells. Return to me spells are very, very real, and yes, they do absolutely work. But what you've got to understand, guys, is the reason that that relationship ended was probably because it was quite toxic and negative. And to be honest, you've really got to ask yourself, have you learned from the previous relationship? Have you evolved enough to understand that any new relationship with that person needs to be different, can't be the same, and it's never going to be the same because you've separated since then. Lots of things have happened to you in that time you've been separate, and you're not the same people you were when you got together. Certainly not the same people you were when you fell in love, because, you know, time's gone since then. Things have changed. You've grown as people. So I don't think it's a good idea to cast a return to me spell. My recommendation, instead of a return to me spell, is a generic love spell. The reason I say this is because by casting a generic love spell, you can tailor that so well to your needs. You can quite literally write a list of all the qualities you desire in a partner, and you can send that out into the universe in a generic love spell format. And if your partner is meant to be with you, that spell will call them back into your circle naturally, and you'll get back together. But if they're not, someone amazing is going to come into your life. Someone 10 times better than you've had before is going to come into your life. And to me, that's a win-win. You know, you come out on top because either you do get your ex back or you get someone better. And then by the time you get someone better, you're not going to want your ex, are you? So generic love spell all the way. And failing that, guys, maybe a self-love spell as well. I mean, self-love spells are fantastic for developing yourself, working on yourself, you know, learning from your past, evolving as a person, accepting yourself as well, and really understanding your good qualities, but also your faults as well. So love spells are better when cast upon you rather than the outside world. And if you're going to cast on the outside world, keep them really generic. Don't aim for people. One other point I want to make as a practitioner myself is I don't really agree on casting spells to force people. After 20 years of experience now, that I wrote all my spells in such a way and designed them in such a way that I never force anyone against their will. I never break any universal laws or codes like that. My spells are always written in such a way that I build upon something that's already there, especially if it's an ex-partner, reminding them of the good times, you know, placing you firmly in their mind, helping them think about you a little bit more, consider you as a potential partner. But I never force, I never, you know, compel, I never do any of that. I just simply encourage, subtly, you know, suggest, and, you know, offer you as a potential partner, as it were. And if they are susceptible to that, and obviously they still have feelings for you, then chances are they're going to answer the call of the spell really quickly and come back into your life. But if they're not susceptible to that, and they're with a new partner and there's various obstacles and other things going on, chances are the spell isn't going to work, guys, if I'm honest. And that's something you need to recognise. The next question that I get asked, can't speak, guys. The next question that I get asked quite a lot is, I think someone cast a love spell on me. What do I do to remove it? Well, I'm assuming by asking this question that you don't want the spell there, because I don't think you'd be asking a question like that if you were happy with the situation. So working on the assumption that you're not happy. If you're not happy and you know there's been a love spell cast on you, firstly, if it's in a scenario where you're not yet with that person, but you know that person's on your mind, you've been drawn to them, you feel the effects of the spell and you want it gone, the first step is always to cleanse. So cleansing yourself, there's lots of different ways to do it. I will do a separate video on the full details, but for now you can buy sprays where you can spray yourself with sage and lavender mixes. You can spray your environment as well. You can light sage incense, which will help cleanse an environment and reduce the effects of the spell. You can also smudge yourself, so using proper sage sticks. There's polysantos as well, which is sacred wood that you can burn. All of these things, you'll just need to waft the smoke all over your body. Do it as much as you feel you need to, picturing that smoke nullifying the effects of the spell. Now I will say, smudging and cleansing of any description is never going to break anybody's spell, because that's not what it's designed to do, but it will nullify the effects. It will help you have clarity and think clearly enough to take the next steps. The next step for me is always have a salt bath. Now you're going to want to fill a cup of salt, roughly about that big, and pour it into your bath. Now you can add all your normal things, your bubble bath, you know, any bath bombs, whatever into it, that's fine, it won't affect it. And then when you sink into the bathtub, think about the salt as it's dissolving in the water, dissolving all of those energies from your body. And again, this is another step into breaking that spell down a little bit so that it has less and less an effect on you. So when you come to actually breaking it with a spell or with a spiritualist, it's at its weak point, basically. It's at breaking point, so it's easier to snap it and get rid of it. The other thing I want to say as well at this point is, while you're cleansing and detoxifying yourself, think about the person who you think has cast the spell on you, if you know who that person is. And think, have they given you any gifts recently? If they have, give you some gifts. If they're small enough, place them in salt bowls to cleanse off any effects from the spell, or to break the spell down. Earth is really good for that. You can bury it outside as well if you have a place to do that, and then you can go and get it. I would normally leave it for a full moon cycle so that the energies are completely depleted, and tell the earth what you want it to do, tell it you want it to destroy and break down that spell and remove it. If you don't like the item, because I'd only do that if I like the item and want to keep it. If I don't like the item, just get rid of it. It's not going to affect anybody else with the spell on it, because the spell is tailored to you. So the further away that gets, it's not going to have an effect on you, and it's not going to affect anyone else, because the spell is aimed to you, not at them. So just get rid of it. If it's something you can destroy it. If it's something that you can bury in the ground and just forget about, then do it, but don't do that if it's an item that's going to toxify the earth. So only things that are biodegradable, bury, don't otherwise. I'd rather you just give it to a charity shop. If you can't think of anything they've given you, so you can't think of an item it's tailored to, it might be that they've used your effigy, so, you know, photo, carved your name in a candle, or used your birthday. Personal friends, people in our lives tend to have a lot of this information, and that is information that witches use to tag lock spells to the person in question. So, you know, a good way to protect yourself is to do a decording spell. So a decording spell, there are two methods of doing this, so I'll give you both. The simplest one for a really basic spell, something you know isn't really working on you but you can feel it there, would be a decording where you have an actual physical piece of string. One end you tie a knot on it, and you would state that the knot is the name of that person. If you don't know the name of the person, just say unknown person, and then you tie a knot the other end of the string and you say your name, and then you hold that piece of string in your hands firmly so it's tight, and then you charge it with all the energies of what you feel the effects of the spell are. So, you know, you think about how they're connected to you physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Think about all those things, and when you've got a clear thought of that, just cut it. Just cut the thread, severing the bonds, and just clearly state that you are now severed and free of their influence. And then bury the remains or burn the remains. Personally, I think burying's better, but you can burn it as well if you prefer. Or you can throw it in water, and water is obviously the element of healing and emotion. So if you like the person, so they're a friend, for example, and you don't want to banish them from your life, water's good. Earth's really good for stopping that from regrowing back and coming back in your life so they can't recast the same spell on you. Fire's good for destroying it, so depends on preference. Better, bigger spell to do, which is a little bit more complicated and needs a little bit more effort. If you're a magical practitioner, this is the one I would do personally. And there's two methods. So method one is to buy a candle that's still connected by the wick. Now red is a good colour for this because red represents energy, love, magic and sexuality. So you're going to need red candles. You would carve the name of the person in one candle or unknown, your name in the other one. Anoint the candles. So there are lots and lots of oils out there now where you can mix up your own commanding oils, or you can mix up separation oils, or you can buy them if you wish from places like eBay, Etsy and Amazon. Anoint all the candles, dress them with herbs that match, or place them on beds of salt, which is something I like to do because salt is cleansing. You can also place your photo under your candle and the photo of the other person as well for an extra layer. If you don't have photos or you don't wish to use photos, that's fine, just bed of salt will do. And then as you say your spell, so write an incantation for separation or say a statement of intent, so something like, these candles represent the connection that we have together that will now be severed. And then as you light the wick, it will split and it will stay lit, hopefully, and as the candles burn down, you know that connection is being destroyed. Try not to do this when you know you've got to leave the house, so make sure it's done where you're going to be home all day. The candles can burn fully down, you're not snuffing them out. If you do have to leave and you need to snuff them, properly snuff them with a snuffer, or wet your fingers and snuff the candle. Never blow it out. The belief is that if you blow your candle out, you're blowing the energy of the spell away, and if the candle hasn't finished, you've kind of blown the spell away to do its job, and what's left is still stuck. So it means the spell's destroyed and you have to start again. Method number 2 for this same spell is, if you can't get candles that are connected by the wick, get candles which are separate, again in red. Carve unknown or the name of the person in one and your name in the other. Place the candles on a dish where it's the same dish. Again, bed of salt, which is what I always do. And tie them or put a ribbon around them both, connecting them. So the ribbon represents what the wick did on the first scenario. Again, say the same incantation. You can anoint them, you can dress them in herbs and oils, whatever you see fit. Say your incantation, sever the string, and then again just let them burn down, keeping an eye on them. And that does exactly the same thing. And then when you're done with the remains, guys, bury it in the earth, but bury it far away. If you don't want the person in your life, if you don't want the energy, the connection, bury it away. If you still like the person, as in they're a friend or someone that you value, then you can bury it on your property, that's fine. But when you bury it, make sure you hold your hands over the earth and tell the earth you want it to biodegrade this spell, its effects and its energies, and tell the earth that the spell has no more effect on you and cannot grow back. And then just walk away and don't look back. And that's it. Nice and simple, guys. So the last question that I get asked quite a lot surrounding love is, if I cast a love spell, how quickly will I see results? Now, I don't like this question. It's a really hard question to answer from a magical perspective, guys, because there's so much involved with it. So firstly, as I said before, it does depend how susceptible the person is that you're casting the spell on to how likely it is to actually manifest in the first place. So if it's somebody, as I discussed, quite young and quite easily influenced, then your spell might occur quite quickly. But if it's somebody that is older, wiser, stubborn, set in their ways, less likely to happen. And if it does, it's going to be a while because it's going to take a lot longer to influence them. Obstacles are a major factor in any spells. So obstacles obviously block energy and create issues for a spell. So when you cast a spell will try and pick the course of least resistance in order to manifest. But if there's obstacles, it has to work through those obstacles first, which often weakens a spell. So this is why it's important to really talk to your magical practitioner about the situation and be honest with them about what's going on, all the things involved, such as marriage, kids, distance. Distance is a major factor as well, guys. So all of these things you need to tell the practitioner so they can account for it, give the spell the right kind of boost, the right kind of energies in order for it to manifest. So in the instance of distance, obviously distance is a major factor. So if you're the person, the object of your desires is, oceans and continents apart, then that spell has to travel all that distance to that person before it starts working. So if they're quite a way away, then the spell could get depleted as it's travelling that distance before it even starts taking effect. And because it's weaker, it's not having the full effect that it should. So again, thinking about the power involved, the boost, the energy, sometimes layering your spells or casting over a course of many days in order to give that spell lots of energy, building up your cone of power before you release it is important for long distance spells. And then the last thing I want to say is if you're casting spells and it doesn't manifest, it could be because your highest good is stopping it from manifesting. So that's not a get out of jail free card, that is a serious thing, guys. So, I often get clients come to me and they ask me for a return to me spell, and then partway through the discussion or the consultation they reveal to me they've had many practitioners do this spell from and it never manifested. And then my instant reply then is, well, it's not meant to then. If multiple practitioners are casting this and you've not seen results over a long period of time, then your higher self is clearly stopping it because it doesn't serve your highest good, which means it doesn't matter how many times you pay people, it's not going to work. And again, if you ask a practitioner to cast a spell for you guys, patience is quite important. You need to give it time to manifest. So don't just, have a spell done and then within 2 weeks be like, oh, it hasn't worked, because actually, that practitioner should be able to do divination on their own spell work and give you a rough timeline of when it's likely to manifest, so long as nothing interferes with that spell. So then you should be waiting for that timeline, and actually, that could be months, even years. I've known spells to be years before they manifest, guys, and that's the advice I've given the customer. And obviously they might not be happy with that, but there's nothing I could do about it. There's obviously things in that path to that needs clearing before you can get what you want. So patience is really important in the craft. If you really want a timeline, ask the practitioner to do divination. So if they use tarot, the tarot cards are a really good indication of timeline. So I use tarot quite a lot, and I always use tarot when I'm trying to do divination for a client. So as an example, you have 4 suits of cards in the tarot that represent the elements. So in my particular tarot deck, swords represent fire, wands represent air, pentacles represent earth, and chalices represent water. So fire is a really fast acting element. So when I'm doing a divination, if lots of the swords cards are coming up, it's going to tell me that the spell's going to manifest really, really quickly. We're talking, hours, days to a few weeks. It's going to manifest really quickly. However, because fire is such a fast acting element, it also fizzles out just as quickly. So it's telling me that it's not going to be long lasting, so they'll get what they want, but it won't stay. If I get the wands showing up, which is the air element, that's a little bit slower than fire, but still pretty fast element. So, but it's also the element of understanding and of change. So often when the wands show up, I know that yes, it's going to manifest quite quickly, so within weeks. However, it's not going to be exactly what they want because it's changed in some way when I release the energy. And again, that could be because of the person and their life and how it's affecting them in order for it to manifest. If the chalices come up, which is water, water is the third element in the collection, but it's the second one that's slow. And water obviously is very changeable, so it can be gas, it can be solid as ice, or it can be liquid. So because of those 3 changes, it means water often changes your spell. So if lots of chalices are showing up, that tells me the spell has well and truly been changed. It's going to manifest in a really unforeseen way, but it is going to manifest, and again, it's going to manifest quite slowly. So often chalices to me represent 6 months to a year. And then if I get pentacles, and quite a lot of them, because that represents earth, earth is extremely slow. We're talking years to manifest, guys. But I do want to say that the earth element is a really good sign in any spell, because even though it's going to take a long time to manifest, earth is the most stable, secure element of the lot. So it means that when it manifests, it's going to stay and it's going to be stable. So in some instances, I would rather wait years for a spell to manifest but know it's going to stay and do what I want it to do, rather than have, say, fire, where it's going to come in my life quickly but then fizzle out just as quickly, and then I'm going to have to do something else. So just think about that a little bit and take on board what I've said, and Yeah, if you're good at tarot, do your own divination or spell working, and see what you're getting in them. And then if you don't know how to do divination, or someone else has done the spell for you, ask the practitioner to include divination. So once they've cast the spell, to do some divination for you in order to find out how it will manifest, because they should do that anyway. They should want to know how the spell is going to manifest for their clients, so that should be included. And that's all I've got for you today, guys. So if I haven't answered any questions, as I say, just pop a question in the comments and I'll get to it as soon as I can. If you're not comfortable posting publicly, then send me a private message. If you don't already know, guys, I am on Patreon, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram. All of those, I do different deals and different offers for my clients. For those of you who are Patreon members, if you'd like to support my channel, for every support you can get a spell cheaper than anyone else as part of that. And if you are a member of Instagram, I do recommend following me on there, because you get a sneak peek into all of my spell workings, my altars, and I often film during spell casting as well to give you a little sneak peek at how I cast, which hopefully would give you some ideas into your own casting, your own altars, and your own magical experiences. So check me out on all of those, guys. All the information is in the description of the video. If you've not yet done so, please click that thumbs up. Let me know that you like the video and that you'd like more of similar. And if you haven't yet click the subscribe button, then please do so. It'll let you know when my next video comes out. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Blessed be, and be good to each other. I'll see you very soon. Bye.